as soon as this negotiation kicks off. Let's talk about that with Nader Habibi now, joining us from Boston, professor of practice in the economics of the Middle East at Brandeis University. Professor, there are multiple ways in which Iran can start getting currency, investment, cash, call it what you want. What seems to you the most important?
I think the most important for Iran is to make sure the flow of exports resumes, which it appears that the U.S. has already agreed and implemented that starting today. And then the lifting of financial sanctions on the money that Iran already has in various banks so that they can spend money on the most immediate needs of the country. Those include basic items for households, such as basic staple food items, medicine. These are very important. And then, of course, a number of imports for Iran's industrial activities so that the economy can start working and moving forward.
Now, on the one hand, Iran needs emergency funds to rebuild, to bring down inflation, to pay for basic goods for the country. On the other hand, the United States and the U.S. President Donald Trump himself have been very clear, and J.D. Vance said it again moments ago, not an American penny is going to Iran. So help explain to our viewers the nuance that Iran could potentially get billions, tens of billions, and ultimately hundreds of billions of dollars without the U.S. spending a penny.
Well, over the past 4 decades, the United States has practically imposed some kind of a freeze on Iranian assets that belong to Iran, but they are being held by various banks and government organizations around the world. So what would be released as a result of these negotiations are Iran's own funds. And the statement is correct. U.S. is not going to pay any money to Iran at this stage. It's all Iranian money that was frozen. So both sides are true. However, keep in mind, if you read the details of the Memorandum of Understanding, it says that the U.S. agrees to lifting of sanctions, and then it's going to negotiate a schedule for release of those funds that have been frozen during this 60-day negotiation period, which means that the money will not be released immediately. It will be released gradually and subject to bargaining by both sides. So U.S. is still trying to use this as a leverage during the 60-day negotiations.
Yeah, and the U.S. and J.D. Vance moments ago was adamant that the U.S. retains leverage over Iran precisely for the reason that you just described, that money would not all get released at once, that money would get released gradually, conditional on what the Americans are calling good behavior from Iran. Do you agree with that idea? Do you agree that it does indeed give the U.S. significant leverage?
Yes, it does. I wouldn't say significant, but it gives U.S. some leverage because Iran, as you mentioned and as your reporters mentioned, is in very dire economic conditions. It needs immediate access to its funds and immediate ability to trade with the rest of the world, especially for exports, which can generate immediate cash payments to Iran. So that allows U.S. to use it as a bargaining tool. And I believe based on what we see as postures from President Trump and Vice President Vance, U.S. does have an interest in allowing these negotiations to progress, which means that they are likely to release some of these funds as we move forward.
And Nader Habibi joining us from Boston. You're a professor of practice in the economics of the Middle East. That's at Brandeis University. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Turning now to another